Yuji Horí's JRPG series Dragon Quest turns 35 at the end of this month this year, and they are holding one of their first Nintendo Direct style videos ever, promising at least one new game announcement as a celebration. As you all know, this is my favourite series, and I thought it would be fun to create a hopes, fears and predictions video on what may or may not be announced. I will begin with what I believe to be most likely, then move on to games in the middle, then games near the end will be the least likely in my opinion. Also, all footage is of a spin-off game Dragon Quest Heroes 2 for the PlayStation 4. There may be some visual spoilers, but to be frank, it is a spin-off of a non-canon game, so you don't need to worry. Number 1. Dragon Quest XII teaser. Yes, this is what I believe to be the most likely, considering Dragon Quest's history and release schedule. 11 was originally announced in 2015, 3 years after 10 released, and 11 released in Japan in 2017, and in Europe in 2018. It has been nearly 3 years since that day, and I would expect a situation similar to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2's announcement. That would simply be the logo, the announcement that the game is in development, maybe with a year appearing on screen, and an image of 12's new hero, and possibly a cutscene or two. Now, as for when the game would release, I believe late next year in Japan and summer 2023 over in Europe and North America is a safe bet. After all, I don't want to rush them. This would also be the biggest announcement for many people, as it is a brand new mainline game and potentially the one that finally makes Dragon Quest become as popular as Final Fantasy. Number 2. A Dragon Quest Adventure of Dai anime console game localization. This is probably the game I am the least excited for, simply because I haven't watched the anime yet, and it feels too much like Dragon Ball, showing as the posters show. There have been heavy rumours of a Dai console game, and it may be localised over in the West since we love anime so much, but it would be a spin-off. Not much to say here, but I would at least be glad for a new spin-off to play. This is very likely because of how recent Dai came out last year, and would release this year to keep us content whilst waiting for 12. Number 3. A Dragon Quest IX remaster or remake on the Switch. 9 is by far my favourite game in the entire series, as it introduced online multiplayer in JRPGs on the DS, and the ability to create my own character and have the entire party's equipment and weapons physically change on the characters. When you bought a new sword, it was incredible for the time. I believe this would be very likely, as back in 2019 the creators were discussing what people would like to see 9 on if it were to get a potential remake. Obviously the Nintendo Switch, as like the DS it is portable and supports online multiplayer and has Wi-Fi. 9 is also one of the most commercially successful in the series, surpassing 1 million units worldwide, and is the only game in the series that is exclusive to one console. The game is also now becoming nostalgic for many people, myself included, and they want to replay it, especially since the online features shut down back in 2014. Therefore, 9 fans are similar to the people wanting Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes, so there really isn't much reason not to remaster this game. I would prefer a remake. I don't mind if it has a chibi art style similar to the Link's Awakening remake, but if it had the anime art style as a remake of 11, I would cry with joy. The game isn't too challenging and could release this year, as it is a remake, so half of the work has already been done. I could imagine them adding voice acting. The MIDI battle themes would be replaced with fully orchestrated music, maybe a 2D mode like 11. New outfits that are references to new games like Builders and 10, and new grottos. I want this game so badly I would pay anything for it! But all that aside, the only reason I think 12 is more likely is because the developer of the game engine for 9, Level 5, have since shut down, but I still hold hope. Number 4. Some new mobile games. Another game, or games, that I wouldn't really care about too much, but in any anniversary, there are always smaller announcements. In this case, some new mobile games. Maybe a prequel to Dragon Quest XI where you play as the Luminary as a child on Android and iOS devices. If you look at Pokemon's directs, they announced games on mobile like Pokemon Smile, a mobile app. A very short point, but Square Enix have been advertising Dragon Quest much more in recent years, and this would serve as great promotion for series recognition now that the hero is in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as DLC. Number 5. A Dragon Quest Zenithian Trilogy port to Switch and PS4. Now we get onto the middle section. This game and the next few, I believe, could happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't. These games are a 50-50 chance, and first is the Zenithian Trilogy on modern systems. This trilogy includes Dragon Quests 4, 5 and 6, which would be ports of the DS remasters onto modern systems. Firstly, 1, 2 and 3 are already on Switch, so adding another trilogy would help attract more newcomers to the series as accessibility would rise. Now, I don't think if this was announced, it would be remakes like 9. Remaking all 3 games would take too much time and effort, so these would be simple ports, with over 100 hours of gameplay to distract us whilst 12 gets developed. The Switch is perfect for this trilogy too, as it is slowly becoming a JRPG machine, with games like Bravely Default, Octopath Traveler, and Fire Emblem, not to mention Pokemon, the biggest RPG ever created. Personally, the main reason I'd love to see these on modern systems is because of the prices. 4, 5 and 6 all now on DS in Europe, ranging between 40 quid and up to 200 quid for each of them. 5 especially costs with the box and cartridge around £120 because it is widely regarded as the best in the series, hence why a movie recently released based off of it, called Dragon Quest Your Story. This could be announced and released early next year, but these 3 games were not very popular outside of Japan. But they each brought unique elements to the franchise, like marriage options, alternate worlds, and playing as party members on their own individual journeys. So yes, I'd enjoy this release a lot. Number 6. Dragon Quest X Localization. The only mainline Dragon Quest to never have been localized outside of Japan, and for a fair enough reason. Similar to Final Fantasy XI and 14, Dragon Quest X, originally released on the Wii in 2012, is an online MMORPG instead of a turn-based single-player RPG like the other games. This change in genre means it is always online, played on a server, which Japan has to spend money on keeping active and maintained. They never released it over here because they believed it wasn't worth the money, time and investment, as they thought not enough people would play the game online, so it would waste their money in the West. In addition, they were not confident people would play a Dragon Quest game that played similar to something closer to World of Warcraft with multiple races, rather than a Persona-esque game. This is why I don't think 10 will be very likely, especially since the game is already around 9 years old, so if they were to make us an MMORPG, it would be a new game, not this. Nevertheless, the game received positive reception and would be very exciting for us, as technically you could play it infinitely, being a multiplayer game. The game would work best on PC, but I could also see a Switch and PS4 version, or even an Xbox version. The reason I haven't mentioned Xbox getting Dragon Quest games is because Microsoft never received this series as a release on their consoles up until the last year when 11 was ported to the Xbox One. 10 would be an interesting one, and would be good at this time whilst friends reconnect online in case we get separated again like back in 2020. Nevertheless, I'd be content with this release. Number 7. Dragon Quest Heroes 3. A few of these games have come out over the years, with the first releasing in 2014 and the second later in 2016, both of which on the PlayStation 4. Another in this spin-off series could be potentially coming later this year. Why have I picked this spin-off series? Well, there are a few reasons. Firstly, this is the only spin-off series where you can play as multiple party members from multiple generations of the mainline series. Secondly, the Heroes games are Dynasty Warriors inspired games, with the Heroes games being created by Koei Tecmo, a Japanese company that has just finished Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and Persona 5 Strikers, both of which are also games with Dynasty Warriors gameplay. This type of gameplay is fast-paced action hack and slash, slaying hundreds of enemies at once, and the non-canon story and simple format makes this easy and quick to develop. In addition, characters from 11 have not yet appeared in a Heroes game, as Heroes 2 came out before 11 in 2016. So if Heroes 3 were announced, it would include new previously unseen party members in the Heroes series, such as Serena and Veronica from Dragon Quest XI. Additionally, Dragon Quest Builders is likely not getting a sequel because unfortunately the creator of that game has since moved on to other non-DQ related projects, and other spin-offs like the Slime Mori Mori series and the Tornico Saloon Dungeon series, which both sold quite poorly in the West, and wouldn't fit a PS4 or Switch format as well as a game like a hack and slash. Heroes has been one of the most successful DQ spin-offs, and being quick to develop, it has a fair chance in my opinion of being announced. Number 8. A new Dragon Quest spin-off entirely. Not much to say here, but I think Dragon Quest, depending on how popular it can become, may have room for more spin-offs like Mario. This would certainly be the most unexpected, since so many spin-offs already exist, but I think there is room for a new game like this. How about a racing game with only Square Enix characters? What about a tower defense style game involving placing monsters to battle other humans? What about something similar to Final Fantasy XV, where the game is fully open world with a very minor story? Maybe some kind of game designed solely to celebrate the franchise's 35th anniversary? Who knows what we may get announced at some point soon. Number 9. A remake of Dragon Quest III. From this point on, these last 3 are the least likely to be revealed in the celebration, in my opinion. Now, I would love a remake of Dragon Quest III, especially since it is technically the first in the Dragon Quest timeline, and is known to be one of the better Dragon Quest games, being the first to introduce the job system, which many JRPGs later grabbed for their own games. In addition, Erdrick, the title given to the hero of 3, is one of the playable heroes in Smash, and people were eager to learn more about him. A remake would work since the game has never left 2D pixel art, and you could always add more jobs and monsters to battle in the battle arena. However, this is where the positives end and the doubts begin. Firstly, 3 has already been remastered for the Game Boy Color with new lines, an extra dungeon, and more, and 3 has already been released on the Switch only a year and a half ago as of filming this in May of 2021. So a remake would be competing with the original on Switch. Secondly, 9 is much more popular and needs a remake more than 3, since some of 9's features were locked behind the online service, which is now discontinued. And finally, the amount of effort and models and animations being used to make this game could have been spent on making 12, since 3 would look similar to 11, whereas 9 being remade is much easier, as the art style was much more chibi and toy-like than other games. So, whilst I'd love to see this game, it isn't likely to appear. I will make a remix of a Dragon Quest III track if this gets announced this week. You have my word on that. As to when the game would release, I'd guess sometime next year. Number 10. Porting all mainline games to consoles and PC. The main issue with this is time and reason. The amount of time to create one port isn't long, maybe around 6 months or so if we're being generous. But 11 mainline games? Including 2 that have online multiplayer functions that need consistent maintenance? Additionally, there is the issue of release. Not only would this take at least 2 years, and if Dragon Quest is getting a celebration of turning 35, the game that celebrates that milestone should release this year. To develop, but how would it be released? Would you have 1 to 11 all on one disc and cartridge on all platforms? Would you instead put them in sets of 3 with 10 and 11 as a pair? How much would each cost relative to each other? Wouldn't this devalue the 1, 2 and 3 trilogy on Switch? I'd love to see all games on all modern systems and PCs, as this increases its notability. But this would waste time on development on 12 and new games. At the end of the day, wouldn't you rather your favourite series develop new stories and experiences rather than rehashing old ones? Exactly. And finally, number 11. A remake of any other mainline game, not including 9 or 3. This is the least likely on the list, for a few reasons. Now, I want to remind you, I would enjoy getting any of the games on this list as an announcement. But this is more of a dream than a prediction for me. Why remake any other game when 9 hasn't been remade yet, and is one of the most popular, and 3 is the first in the timeline, technically, and people want to learn about Erdrick due to Smash Bros? Why remake 1 and 2 when they are already on the Switch? Why remake 4, 5 and 6 when they all didn't sell very well over in the West, and 5 has already been given special treatment with a film? Why remake 7 and 8 when they both got very enhanced versions, especially 7, on the 3DS only a few years ago? Why remake 10 when remaking an MMO is financially idiotic, as you can update the game? Why remake 11 when 11 just came out 2 years ago? You see my point? At the end of the day, a new series cannot survive just on remakes, and whilst I personally would love a remake of Dragon Quest 8 or 1, I do not think this would appear during the 35th anniversary, and if it were to be a remake, it would be for Dragon Quest 9 Sentinels of the Starry Skies. Now, what do you lovely ladies and gents think about this? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below, and feel free to ask for any potential topics on games you want me to cover. Subscribe for more essay videos, remixes and gameplay videos. Thanks for watching. I hope I have helped you learn at least a little something new today.